On Thanksgiving Day, the day that was supposed to be about gratitude and family and forgiveness, my own sister picked up a ceramic dinner plate and hurled it straight at my head because I told her she could not move into my house. And as I stood there with gravy dripping down my arm and my heart, pounding so hard I thought I might pass out, I honestly wondered if I had finally become the villain in my own family's story. Was I wrong for refusing her, even after everything we'd been through together, or was this the moment I finally chose myself? I need you to tell me, because I still replay that second in my mind over and over, wondering if I should have ducked, yelled, or just walked away sooner. The crazy thing is, if you'd asked me a year earlier, I would have laughed at the idea of my sister and I ending up like that. Growing up, it was always the two of us against the world. I'm the older sibling by 4 years, and from the time our parents divorced when I was 12 and she was 8, I felt like it was my job to protect her. Our dad moved out, our mom worked double shifts, and I became the built-in babysitter, the homework helper, the emotional buffer when things got rough. I learned early how to put my own needs aside because my little sister needed me. She was loud, impulsive, dramatic, but also funny and warm and the kind of person who could make friends anywhere. I was the responsible one, the planner, the saver. That dynamic followed us straight into adulthood. By the time I was in my early 30s, I had what most people would call a stable life. I had worked my way up in a mid-sized company, bought a modest 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood, and for the first time in my life felt like I could breathe. No roommates, no chaos, no feeling like I was constantly cleaning up someone else's mess. My sister, on the other hand, bounced from job to job, relationship to relationship. She married young, divorced fast, remarried someone who promised her the world, and then delivered. Nothing but debt and disappointment. Every time something blew up, she called me. And every time I helped. I paid her phone bill once when she was about to get cut off. I let her crash on my couch for 3 months after her first divorce. I co-signed a car loan I should never have touched. I told myself this was just what sisters did. The cracks really started to show about 2 years ago. My sister separated from her second husband, and this time it was uglier. There were lawyers, accusations, and eventually an eviction notice because he stopped paying rent on the apartment they shared. She showed up at my door with 2 suitcases and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, and without even thinking, I let her in. I told myself it would be temporary, just until she got back on her feet. Temporary turned into 6 months. 6 months of her sleeping until noon, leaving dishes in the sink, inviting friends over without asking, and blowing up whenever I gently tried to talk about timelines or expectations. When I finally told her she needed to start contributing or look for her own place, she accused me of being controlling and unsupportive. She left in a dramatic huff, slammed my door so hard it rattled the windows, and didn't speak to me for weeks. That period of silence was painful, but it was also peaceful. I realized how much tension I'd been carrying in my own home. I promised myself that no matter what happened, I would never again sacrifice my stability for someone who refused to take responsibility for their own life. I didn't say it out loud, but deep down, I knew that boundary was going to be tested. Fast forward to Thanksgiving. My mom insisted on hosting this year, even though she'd been dropping hints about how expensive everything was and how stressed she felt. Family holidays are complicated for us because everyone brings their unresolved baggage to the table along with the food. I almost didn't go, but I didn't want to be the reason things were awkward. My sister arrived late, as usual, with that same forced smile. She hugged me a little too tightly and whispered, "We need to talk later." My stomach dropped. Dinner started off tense but manageable. We made small talk, commented on the food, laughed at a few old memories. Then, halfway through the meal, my sister cleared her throat and said my name. The whole table went quiet. She launched into this speech about how hard the past year had been for her, how she was trying so hard, how the universe just kept knocking her down. I could feel where it was going, and I wanted to disappear. Then she said it. She said her lease was ending. She couldn't afford the rent increase, and she was planning to move in with me for just a little while. She said it like it was already decided. Everyone looked at me. My mom gave me that pleading look that said, "Please don't make this a scene." I took a deep breath and, as calmly as I could, said that I loved her, but I wasn't able to let her move in. I explained that I needed my space, that the last time hadn't gone well, and that I was willing to help her look for other options. The words barely left my mouth before her face changed. It was like a switch flipped. She accused me of abandoning her, of thinking I was better than her, of forgetting where I came from. She brought up every favor she'd ever done for me, twisting history until I barely recognized it. I tried to stay calm, but my heart was racing. I told her this wasn't the time or place, that we could talk later. That's when she stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. She grabbed her plate, and before I could even process what was happening, she threw it. It hit the wall next to my head and shattered. Gravy splattered everywhere. My mom screamed. Someone else knocked over a glass. The room erupted into chaos. For a moment, everything was silent except for the ringing in my ears. My sister was breathing hard, her eyes wild. She shouted that I was dead to her, that she hoped I enjoyed my empty house. And then she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I stood there shaking, feeling embarrassed, angry, and oddly relieved all at once. That night, my phone blew up. My mom called, crying, saying she never expected it to go that far. An aunt texted me asking how I could be so heartless. A cousin said my sister was staying with her temporarily and was really hurt. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt furious. And part of me felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Firm. Over the next few days, the family pressure intensified. My mom asked if I could reconsider, just for a month or two. I reminded her that the last month or two turned into half a year. She said family was supposed to be there for each other. I asked why that only ever seemed to apply in one direction. My sister sent me a long message accusing me of ruining Thanksgiving, of humiliating her, of choosing money over blood. She ended it by saying she had nowhere else to go and that, if anything bad happened to her, it would be on me. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and really think about it. If you were in my shoes, with years of history, guilt, and love tangled up with exhaustion and resentment, what would you have done? Would you have opened your door again just to keep the peace? Or would you have stood your ground even if it meant being the bad guy? I didn't respond right away. I needed space to think without everyone else's voices in my head. A week passed, then another. My sister found a short-term room to rent, and the immediate crisis passed. The silence between us was heavy. Eventually, I sent her a message. I told her I loved her, but her behavior at Thanksgiving was unacceptable. I said I wasn't cutting her out of my life, but I was done enabling her. If she wanted a relationship with me, it had to be based on respect and accountability. I didn't expect her to respond kindly, but I needed to say it. Her reply was cold. She said I had changed, that success had made me selfish, and that she didn't need someone like me in her life anyway. That hurt more than I expected. Even after everything, a part of me still wanted her approval. But I didn't back down. For the first time, I didn't apologize for having boundaries. The aftermath was messy. Family gatherings were awkward. Some relatives took sides. Others avoided the topic entirely. My mom went through a phase of trying to play mediator, but eventually even she admitted that my sister needed to grow up. Slowly, the tension eased. Months later, my sister reached out again, this time calmer. She didn't apologize for the plate, but she acknowledged that things had gotten out of hand. We started talking again, cautiously. Looking back now, that Thanksgiving feels like a turning point, not just in my relationship with my sister, but in how I see myself. I spent so many years believing that being a good sister meant saying yes no matter the cost. That day taught me that love without boundaries can turn into resentment, and resentment can explode in ways you never expect. I don't know if my sister and I will ever be as close as we once were, but I do know that my home is still my sanctuary, and my peace matters. So that's my story. If you think I was right to stand my ground, like this video, if you think I should have handled it differently, I want to hear that too. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll see you all in the next story.